Welcome back to Crime Besties, to what is the third of our US school shooting series. If you haven't listened to the first two, go back. Last week we released 2 episodes, so you can go back and listen to our Columbine episode and our Sandy Hook Elementary episode. Today we are going to be talking about the Uvaldi school shootings, so elementary school shootings at Robb Elementary School in Texas, Uvalde, Texas. So before we get into it, Meg, what have you been up to? What's been going on? Where are you at?
Where am I at? Oh, living life. Yeah, we're oh God, it's just mental. Everything that goes on, I think, in a week. We're still recovering from busy school holidays.
Yeah.
And then coming back into the routine and the new routine, which is just, as we said, another episode, like, is killing me.
Yeah.
But my parents are away at the moment, about to go away, and I'm like, I'm losing my security blanket.
Yeah.
Great grandparents are the greatest.
Grandparents are the best.
Oh, so good.
Oh,
Although I do
helpful
have a
grandparents
funny
are the
story. We were going around there the other day, like on the way from school. We had to go there before we do our after school stuff. And Brody says to me, my youngest, and he goes, "Oh, is Grandpa going to be there?" And I go, "Well, yeah,
Yeah, it's
lives
his
there."
house.
And he goes, "Oh, is he going to call me a turd again?"
Probably. Yeah. Let's face it.
Term of endearment, right?
He loves you. He loves you just the way you
He
are.
does. It's his affection style. It's
Yeah.
his love language.
Yeah, yeah.
I was known as Pooh for most of my childhood.
Oh, that's seriously, was that what your dad would call you?
Yeah.
My dad used to call me Lola because so he'd like, my name's obviously, I'm Emma, and he'd call me, so then duh, and then he'd call me Emmy Lolita. I don't know why.
Oh, okay.
And then so
And then
Emmy
it became
Lolita
Lola?
went to Lola.
Oh,
Yeah.
I love that. I love the names that parents get for their kids. Like,
Yeah.
like my niece has always been Bean, like Taylor Bean. Like,
Okay.
I don't know where that's even come from, but like it's just
Is that like Frances Bean?
I don't know. Oh, yeah.
Kurt Cobain's
I love
daughter?
that. Yeah. Yeah, no, she wouldn't even know who that is. But sorry, T. I always call her T. But yeah, no, she's always been like Bean, like her dad calls her that, and I love it.
Cute. I love it.
Yeah,
I love it.
Yes. But
Luke-
that's because like my Brody's got 10,000 nicknames
yeah.
that he gets. So because he gets Frosty because he was IVFing in the freezer for 2 years. He's been always known as Frosty. But yeah, you know, like there's lots of little ones that he gets. Mason, not so much. He's always just Mace, like kind of thing.
Yeah.
Oh, he gets Buddy. No, he gets Bubba.
Okay.
And so then Brody hangs shit on him about that.
Oh, yeah,
Which
of
I
course.
love. So
Yeah.
now it makes me call him Bubba more.
Yeah, obviously. Yesterday, Lucas had an appointment, and at the appointment, the person was saying to him, "Oh, what would you like me to call you?" And he's had appointments with this woman before, and at the start, he was like, "Oh, I like being called Lukey." And so Lukey it was. And then she came out yesterday and she's like, "Oh, so we've had a bit of a name change." And I'm like, "Oh, yeah, right. What is it?" And she's like, "He's decided he wants to be called JJ." And I'm like, "Oh." And
That's
we
new.
do sometimes call him Lukey J
Lukey
because
J,
his middle
yes.
name is John.
Right.
And so we do call him Lukey J. Or that was actually my sister-in-law who actually calls him that all
Yeah.
the time. And so now he's just decided he'd like to be JJ.
Right.
So she's like, "We're going with it until we have another change." So there you
Yeah.
go. He's just made up a new nickname
New
for
nickname
himself.
for himself. Love
Yeah.
that. Love
Yeah.
a good nickname.
Yeah.
Like there's some good ones.
Yeah. My
Yeah.
eldest, Oliver.
Oh, his is the
His is
best.
great.
Yeah.
He's not fully. I mean, he does like it, but he hasn't fully embraced it yet. But I
needs
feel
to
like
fully
I feel like as he gets older, he's going to love it.
Yeah.
So
Does he put it on the back? Is it on the back of his jersey?
No, I
for
tried to get
footy?
it, but no, he ended up going with
Oh, that's right.
Ols, I think.
Yeah, right.
So he is a busy boy. He's
one way of
active.
putting it.
Yep, very busy. He's got lots going on, and he's into everything, like into absolutely everything. And things
Somewhat
just happen to him.
accident prone?
Oh, some might say slightly accident prone. Anyway, so when he was little, we used to call him all of a sudden because he'd just always be there. Like all of a sudden something would happen. So we called him all of a sudden. And then that got shortened down to Suds. So now it's just Suds.
I love
Yeah.
all of a sudden. It just suits him so
It
much.
really
It's
does,
so
doesn't
good.
it?
Yeah. So good.
So, yep, love a bit of a nickname. And I love, as you said, those like in your family, how those things just become
Yeah.
what they are.
Yeah. And then like half the time you don't even know where they started.
No.
Like, sort of stuff. I think they're the best.
Yeah, it's so good.
Yeah.
Very good.
Yeah, like I think my other niece, my brother calls her cheesy. And I heard someone the other day kind of go like, why do you call her cheesy? Like, and he's like, and he kind of gave a few different reasons. I think he's kind of gone,
Can't really remember.
I can't really remember which one was the right one or whatever. Like it's but it's just cheesy. Life's cheesy, you know. Like
Oh, I love it. Oh, that's so good.
yeah.
Cute. Very cute.
Oh, what's so cute? What we're going to be talking about today? Sorry.
No. So third, as I mentioned at the start of the episode, third of 3 for now.
Yeah.
About US school shootings, and today's one. Again, I think I alluded to this in our last episode. My goodness, it was mishandled right from the get-go. And what ended up happening was that more people probably died than needed to. Mm-hmm. There was such inaction, such miscoordination of what needed to happen. And, you know, for all of the things that should have been learnt, for all of the school shootings that have come before it, it seems that none of that actually came to fruition in this instance. And it's actually horrifying, the fact that, you know, what's being learnt every time this happens. Like, this proves nothing. Nothing's been learnt. They're putting in more and more measures, but nothing stops these things from happening.
Because the one thing that needs to happen doesn't happen.
That's it.
Oh, gun control.
Yes.
What? Fifth Amendment right.
That's it. I mean, this perpetrator, similarly to the 3 that we've spoken about previously, he had some issues. He had stuff going on, and it wasn't dealt with again, and he wasn't doing the things that he needed to do and the therapies that he needed to do, and attending, you know, the supports that he needed in place. He was living with his grandparents, I believe, at the time. I think he came from quite a fractured home life, a very sort of tumultuous home life from what I can gather.
Mum was a drug user. Didn't find a whole lot about Dad.
I don't think he knew his dad.
Yeah,
I feel like maybe his dad left before he was born, I think. Yeah, I don't think his dad was involved in his life. He was definitely raised by his grandparents.
Yeah.
And you know what? Your grandparents, your grandparent for a reason. They're not necessarily equipped to deal with, you know, there's so much that changes generation to generation. And also a grandparent, that's a very different relationship. They're not your parent.
We were only having this conversation today with some friends of mine about the fact of like, oh God, to have had my mum be a mum as she is as a grandparent would have been a whole different childhood.
Wouldn't it have been amazing?
She would have been nice.
Yeah, I'd take my mum as a grandma any day.
God, yeah. My kids get so much stuff that I would never have been allowed to have as a kid. Like she indulges them because she's allowed to. She's a grandparent. Hi, Mum. She listens.
Oh, hi to my mum too. Pat and Lynn, you know, love it.
They love it.
But, you know, that's as you said, that's the way grandparents should be. That's their role. Their role isn't to parent the child.
No,
it's to grandparent the child, and that's a very different thing. So when a grandparent then has to take on that responsibility of becoming the primary caregiver for their grandchild, I think it would be really hard. Not only are you probably 20, 30, 40 years older than what you were
when you did it with your own.
So much changes in that time. And also, I feel like grandparents don't necessarily have the same authority as a parent figure necessarily. And would you even have the energy? I don't have the energy now.
I mean, hats off entirely to those that take it on. Because it is. I mean, look, there's a different point in your life where, like, I mean, you look forward to that retirement and that different lifestyle and spoiling a grandchild potentially, or, and then you end up raising that next generation. That's got to be huge. It's a huge thing to take on, and there's so many that do it really, really well. Like, I mean, we're not saying that every grandparent that raises their children's children end up doing shit like this.
Oh God, no.
That is far from it, because there's definitely very, very, very good grandparents out there for doing this and who take this stuff on, and but unfortunately it can go pear-shaped, and this one did. Yeah.
I mean, again, it's from multitude of factors and reasons.
Absolutely.
It's not
there's
just
so
that
much
fact.
at play.
Yeah.
I mean, the reason why a grandparent takes on, children, there's so many reasons for that. And this one, sounds like it was, it was because he had such a hard life at home with parents prior, and they've taken him in, which then comes with a whole lot of trauma itself.
Absolutely.
So,
yeah. So this all started with sorry. It started on the 24th of May in 2020. Oh my God, 2022. I just had a total what year was it? I've got 2022 written down, but I just had a, God, was it?
Oh, yeah, 2022.
At 11:33 a.m., the perpetrator entered the school, but there was a fair bit leading up to that we'll just very quickly go through.
Yeah.
At about 10 past 11 on that morning, so the perpetrator's name was Salvador Ramos. He was 18 years old at the time. At around 10 past 11 that morning, he shot his grandmother. He then texted he was online friends with this girl in Germany, and he texted her and said to her that he'd just shot and killed his grandmother and he was headed to attack a school.
Well, it actually sent her one message saying, I'm going to shoot her, and then sent another saying, I have just shot her.
Yeah.
Which, because later on, she was charged with not, in Germany, not in America, she was charged with not letting police, with authorities know that there was potentially an issue with someone shooting people. Yeah.
Yeah. So Ramos then takes his grandmother's truck and drives towards Robb Elementary School. Now, I believe he did have a connection with the school. He attended that school when he was in elementary school. So
he only
the US,
attended for fourth grade.
Yep. So in the US, elementary school goes from kindergarten to grade 4, and then they move into middle school. So a little bit different from the Australian and New Zealand school systems, but that's that gives you a bit of an idea of how young the students were who were involved in all of this. He then crashes his grandmother's truck into a ditch near the school. You can see CCTV footage of this from the school of it happening. It's really odd.
Apparently he's never driven before. He didn't have a license. He hadn't driven.
No, but even the way that this all happens, it's so bizarre. I mean, yeah, you can tell he's not
experienced.
There's
driver.
something going on there.
Yeah.
But he just kind of pulls into a ditch and crashes into a ditch. And then he gets out of the car a little bewildered. And what actually happened was a teacher actually saw this happen, and she was like, oh my God, someone's crashed their car. So she's then gone out to sort of see what's going on and to call 911, because she's like, this person could be injured. And he was far enough away that she couldn't get to him. It was, I don't know, multiple hundreds of meters away. So she saw this happen, didn't know who was driving or couldn't see that particular level of detail, but thought this person probably needs help. She couldn't necessarily leave because she was in classroom and whatever, but she's gone out the door to sort of see, oh, okay, call 911, give them the information that they need.
Yeah.
She then goes back in through that door and pulls it shut. You can see that on CCTV. This comes up again and again. If you watch any documentaries about Uvalde, this comes up again and again. She shut the door. She did the right thing. This is not her fault.
Yes.
Okay, I'm just going to leave that at that.
Yeah. Yep.
So then
apparently the doors should lock on close.
Yes.
And
so
only be able to be
meant
opened from internally.
That's right. So what should happen is, as the doors close out from outside, nobody should be able to open those doors.
Yeah.
That didn't happen when this teacher closed the door. And
They've
that
been
is
malfunctioning.
Yeah. And these doors had only been apparently installed super recently, I think weeks before.
Yeah.
So obviously something hadn't been installed properly. Okay, these things happen, but unfortunately this weakness in that process, is what the perpetrator, what Ramos used to gain access to the school.
But again, he had weapons.
He had weapons. He could have gotten in. This was just an opportunistic way to get in without having to shoot windows and whatnot.
Yeah.
So at 11:31, he initiates the gunfire outside of the school. So people can hear that there's gunshots, and I believe because of the gun that he was using, it was very clear that these were gunshots and it was close.
Was it a shotgun that he had or something?
Was it? Oh, I do have it written down somewhere in my notes. If I get to it all.
I know, he had an AR-15.
Oh, that's right. Yes. So it's, yeah. Now, I know that's a serious gun. I don't know much about guns, but I know that that's a serious gun.
That's one that you don't just, have at home.
Well, no. You wouldn't think so. So when he was shooting from outside, I think he was just kind of brrr, shooting across the windows, and he was breaking windows.
Yeah.
At this time, somebody called 911 when they first, at 11:30, when they first heard these gunshots outside. There was a school district officer at the school, and so I think he was actually coming to visit the school anyway. There is an interview with him online where he kind of outlines what he says and does, but even that's a bit sketchy. But this guy says he drives past and he thinks the gunman is a teacher.
Yeah, there's a teacher and he thinks, oh, that's the gunman.
Yeah.
But the gunman walks right past him and he doesn't see him and realize that that's the gunman. So he's, mistakenly identifying a different person.
A teacher as the gunman. Oh, anyway, so this just kind of starts the confusion of everything.
Yeah.
So Ramos has entered through that west entrance door. He walks through the hallway and shoots into 2 different classrooms that have a door in between them.
Yeah, they're interconnecting.
Yep. He enters in one side, goes through to that interconnected classroom and then comes out the other side. He fired 100 rounds of ammunition over 4 minutes in those 2 classrooms.
Well, he set off 164 rounds in total in the whole time he was there. So that the majority of it obviously is in those 2 classrooms. And I don't, when you say a round,
well, I think it's
that's not a bullet. That's not 164 bullets. There's a whole lot more bullets to that. I think they can be 30
rounds
in
or
a
something.
round. Or
yes, I think it's something like that. I don't know exactly, but I don't think it. He had so much ammunition. He had a bag of ammunition,
and that's another element of this, the gun control stuff that I cannot understand. And I think we talked about this when we talked about Port Arthur, as well, of how much ammunition does one person need for a recreational purpose or for what guns are meant to be for? I understand having I don't understand entirely, but let's just go with it. That you've got a gun for protection in your house, you'll need bullets for that gun. I understand that, but you don't need thousands,
hundreds or thousands.
He literally had 1,400 rounds. That
would have been heavy too. But he had them in a duffel type bag. I think.
Absolutely blows my mind that people just should not be able to purchase that kind of level of amount of ammunition.
Yeah.
To me, it's there's limits on how much drugs you can have for recreational purposes.
That's it.
You know
exactly.
What I mean? I feel like it's got to have those sorts of limits on it as well of how much you can purchase. It becomes no longer recreational.
Absolutely.
Surely.
Yeah. Oh, for sure.
I don't know what's an AR-15, how that's anyway.
Same, but surely. So 11:35, 3 Uvalde Police Department officers enter the school through that same door. So it only took them a few minutes to get there after that 911 call. 2 of the police, again, you can see all of this in CCTV. It is actually quite fascinating to watch because it's been heavily, heavily criticised by everyone involved, because the thing is, police officers now are trained to deal with active shooter situations. And that is exactly what this was. But they did not follow any of the processes or procedures or the training that they have supposedly extensively done in order to minimise any fallout from this. So what actually happened was these 3 police officers have entered. 2 of them get grazed by bullets, so one on the shoulder and I think one on the ear, grazes his ear. They then retreat because their sergeant tells them to. They then fuck off.
Just leave entirely?
4 more, upon this happening, obviously they're officers wounded, 4 more Uvalde police officers do come into the building.
Right.
But they do not follow any of their processes or procedures to take down that gunman. He was in the hallway at the time. Oh my God.
Yeah, that's right. They were told they were there and they had a perfectly good shot, but they were told no, we're waiting for authority, and no one was saying, take the shot.
So the problem was this police chief, who was one of the 3 who first went in there. Yeah. He told them to retreat. And the gunman was in the hallway with no other students around. God. They weren't.
But there were multiple
acting the way they should have done.
There were multiple divisions of not just police, so there's the Uvalde Consolidated Independent School District Police Department.
Yeah.
Then there's the United States Border Patrol Tactical Unit.
Yeah.
Then there was the local police department. Like, to me, there just seemed to be too many cooks.
Well, the problem is nobody knew who had authority,
this
who
is
was
it.
actually
They all
in
blamed each
charge.
other, I
They
think,
all
in the
blamed
end,
each other.
didn't they? Yeah.
But nobody took the lead in this and didn't know who had jurisdiction. I mean,
To me, it seems like, okay, they've gone overboard almost in terms of how much security measures they're going to put in place.
Yeah.
To the point where they didn't know of all these different pieces of this puzzle of like who actually controls all of it when it happens, that they're all kind of like standing back going like, we've got a job to do. We're here. Tell us what to do.
And they're like, no, you tell us what to do.
No, you do it.
You. There was a lot of confusion.
It just blows my mind that, again, it comes down to they've put bucket loads of money into this, like, into these security measures in these schools, to the point where there is an actual police department for schools.
Yeah.
Like, I mean, you know how much gossip that goes around our school that if a police car drives past the school,
that has nothing to do with anyone at the school.
let alone there being an actual police department that is solely developed for schools. Like, that seems insane.
Terrifying.
The amount of money that goes, and there was 6 police officers in that department that were assigned to that, and to I think maybe 8 schools. I think it was. Mm-hmm. Like, that seems insane.
It doesn't.
That there's all this money being put into it, but then what they're trained and what they're there for comes and happens. Like, fuck it up.
Like, honestly, what the hell?
God.
10 minutes after the gunman enters the school posts on Facebook that the school is under lockdown and then emails
Who's
parents.
the time to bloody post on Facebook whilst there's an active shooter?
Robb Elementary is under lockdown status. Robb Elementary parents, please note at this time Robb Elementary is under a lockdown status due to gunshots in the area. So not even gunshots at our school.
No.
The students and staff are safe in the building. The building is secure in a lockdown status. Your cooperation is needed at this time by not visiting the campus. As soon as the lockdown status is lifted, you will be notified. Thank you for your cooperation.
Oh.
Imagine as a parent receiving that.
Sorry.
Well, it prompted a lot
Every
of
parent.
parents to basically go down there.
Yep.
Now, we're now 11:45 a.m., 12 minutes since the gunman has entered the school. No action. He is still at large, loose within the building.
Yeah, he was in the building for an hour and 14 minutes. I mean, you compare that to who we spoke about last week. That it was 5 minutes, and yes, he caused a lot of damage in those 5 minutes, but 5 minutes and it was ended. Like, we're an hour and 14 minutes. Fuck,
I mean, that's why this is just an unfathomable amount of people. And children died.
I mean, the trauma of those people in that building for an hour and 14 minutes to be trapped going, what the hell?
And not knowing what's going on.
And I think it was I'm pretty sure it was Uvaldi. I read somewhere where there was students and teachers who were trapped in a room for 4 hours.
Yes, because they didn't, well, we'll get to this in a minute, but they did not clear the building for that long.
Yeah.
And they missed some places. Like, they couldn't find that the one where they were trapped for 4 hours.
Yeah.
It was because they couldn't actually find the key to that classroom. No one had the key, and then so they ended up having to call in a janitor the overnight janitor or something. Someone had to get him so they could get the key to open that classroom. Wouldn't you fucking knock the door down?
Oh, 100%.
Wouldn't you? I don't know, break a window?
Yeah.
Oh, so bizarre. The things that happened in this are just really fucking bizarre.
Oh, no.
At 11:56 a.m, people were starting to post stuff on Facebook themselves because they were starting to get really, really frustrated. I'm talking parents who are now attending the site.
Could you imagine?
They were getting really frustrated, and the police were doing nothing. They were all standing outside, and you can see this. The parents were taking videos and posting them on Facebook. They're strolling around like it's a friggin' Sunday afternoon picnic.
And your kid's in there. Like, that's awful.
It's horrific. It's absolutely horrific.
God.
At nearly 12 o'clock, a police officer pushes a man who's making a phone call outside of the school, and this was then posted on Facebook as well, and that actually prompted a lot more parents to come. So I think this person posted it on the school's Facebook page, and this bloke was saying to the police officer, there are 6-year-old children in there. Like, somebody get in there and do something.
Yeah.
He's like, turn that off, turn that camera off, blah, blah, blah.
Oh, nah.
They don't know how to defend themselves from a shooter, and oh my God, just absolutely horrible, horrible stuff.
Yeah. Well, I mean, it was the investigation afterwards. There was a quote from the Texas House of Representatives of the committee that investigated it all, who said, systemic failures and egregious poor decision making is what caused the eventual number of deaths.
Yes.
At Robb Elementary.
If they had just shot him when they got in there for 6 minutes or whatever whatever it was, after they, when those first 3 Uvaldi police officers, why didn't they fucking shoot him then?
Yeah. There was one particular teacher I read about where he was, he'd been shot and was bleeding extensively, and they'd put on the window like that he needed help so that they could get someone in to do that. And they just decided like that they wouldn't let paramedics in.
Yeah.
And they stopped them getting in there. So they did everything they could, the people in the room, to help him. And it turned out that the police officers were there. They moved him to another room so they could potentially get paramedics there easier. And then by the time paramedics finally got in there, they pronounced him dead on the scene. Mm-hmm. But if they had got to him in the original spot,
he would have survived.
It
was blood loss.
Literally, he died from blood loss.
Yeah.
But could have been very much saved if the paramedics had been allowed to get in sooner.
Yeah. Around, I think it was around 12 o'clock, 911 got a phone call from a girl, a little girl. She ended up then calling back, I think it was 3 times over the course of the next hour or so. She had a mobile phone because she used to walk home from school on her own.
Right.
And I think she was in the 4th grade, and her dad was interviewed in a documentary I watched about this. And he said listening to these 911 calls that she made are just horrifying.
Yeah.
So she's whispering down the phone going, we really need help. You can listen to them on
they've been
YouTube
released,
and stuff. They've been released. She's like, we really need help. Because she was in one of those rooms that we were talking about that were joined together that had the 100 rounds of bullets in. So she would have been surrounded by death and injury. And she's like, we really need help. There's lots of people here who are really unwell. And she's a fucking 6-year-old little girl.
Yeah. She
was on the phone originally to 911 for like nearly 2 minutes that first time. And then somehow the phone got disconnected. The 911 operator reported all of the details that she'd given because they were asking her things like, how many people are in the room that you're in? Do you know what room number you're in? Do you know what your teacher's name is and all of this stuff? Mm-hmm. And the 911 operator was relaying this all to whoever, on the scene. They were doing nothing with it.
No. That's what we were saying with the last one. Having that information from the inside helped them to be able to manage that quicker. Whereas this one, they were getting just as much, if not more, information from the inside of what was happening, and they didn't act on any of it.
Yeah. There's so many images from this that really stick in my mind. And one of those is, I think, at about 12:07, so about half an hour after the gunman entered the building, the first lot of people were able to escape. So there was a group of people, students and teachers, who had gathered in the cafeteria, and they obviously found an opportunity to escape. And I know one of the images that really sticks in my mind is of these little girls running out of there terrified, and you can see police officers just like standing around outside. It's mind-blowing.
Mind-boggling, absolutely. God.
So 12:10, the student, that little girl in room 112, she calls back again and she said, there are so many people in this room that are dead. I don't know what to do. Can somebody please help me?
Poor little girl.
The police officers then try to, I don't know, organise something. The school's across the road from a funeral home, and they decide to send all of the parents over there, and anybody who escapes is going to be sent over there first for first aid and treatment. So they sent the ambulances over there and all parents. But that even went to shit because, a few minutes later, they decide that it's not big enough or they don't have the facilities there, and then they move it to somewhere else, and then they move it to somewhere else again later on. It's so, like, as a parent, you couldn't even imagine it.
Oh my God.
12:15, that same student calls 911 for the third time, basically saying, I don't understand why nobody's helping us. There's nobody in here. You need to come and help. Like, imagine how desperate you would be. You know, I can't imagine.
No.
I actually can't imagine.
Oh,
this is
God, no.
40 odd minutes
That's awful.
that she's been in that situation. And you've got to remember, this was the first classroom he went into 40 odd minutes ago.
Yeah. Not to have anyone helping you and like such young children.
Yeah.
That's insane. Absolutely insane.
That student reports that there are 8 to 9 people alive in that room and they need to get there now because they're not going to be alive for much longer.
No, I'm like, this is the thing. It's a young girl who potentially I believe the teacher in that room had been shot.
Yep.
You know, this is young children then managing
adult
war zone.
Well, yeah.
Like literally.
An adult could barely
This is it. I can't imagine as an adult in that when, you know, if I'm the teacher in that room, that's like my job to look after all that, you know, kind of thing. And that the teacher's not there. This is a young student that's doing it and like trying to like, make sure her friends stay alive.
Yep.
Oh, God.
Oh, unbelievable. So the members of the Border Patrol Tactical Unit arrive at this point with shields. Don't go in. Don't go in immediately. The tactical response unit.
Have a chat, see what they want to do.
Don't go straight in. So at this point, what are we, like 45 minutes into the terror? At 12:17, the school district now posts on Facebook that there's an active shooter in the school, but please, everybody, stay away. Your cooperation is needed at this time by not visiting the campus. As soon as more information is gathered, it will be shared. The rest of the district is under secure status. They are getting 911 calls coming from within the school still, from other students, people who've been able to now access like landline phones and that kind of thing. They're getting reports of how many people are injured, how many people are dead, how many people need immediate assistance. This still doesn't prompt them to go in.
God, you're kidding.
No. 12:20, there's more gunfire. So it kind of paused for a couple of minutes there. I'm assuming he was like reloading his gun. I don't even know how that happens in an AR-15, like whether that takes time or not, I'm not sure.
I don't know.
But there was a little bit of a pause there where there weren't any gunshots. So they were like, well, is it over? What's going on? Still didn't go in.
No.
And then, they've got the shots sort of started again. This is around the 50-minute mark of when that all happened.
Yeah.
Okay, so students are trying to still get out, and students and teachers are still trying to get out and escape where they possibly can. Again, the scene is chaos, which it absolutely would be, but you know, this is where we're at. The students are now being taken to an auditorium at the high school on the other side of town. So the parents are notified again via Facebook that, you know, it's not at the funeral home across the road anymore. You're now going to have to go over to the other side of town. They're trying to keep separation there. You will be notified to pick up your students once they're all accounted for.
So that floors me. They were obviously able to coordinate like transport of these kids, like to move them to somewhere else, etc. However, they can't coordinate themselves to fucking get in there and stop this occurring.
Well, look, I think it's worth saying there were police in the building. They were just hiding. They were doing nothing.
They weren't doing because there was no one no authority saying to them, take him down.
Yeah.
Like,
but isn't that like so? So in this though, I listened to a podcast about Uvalde, and it was with a security bloke.
Right.
And he was saying that in an active shooter situation, regardless of whether it's at a football stadium, at a school, at a house, wherever, if there's an active shooter situation, you shoot to kill the perpetrator. Yeah. That is that there's no do I don't I about it. That is what you do. If somebody is actively shooting people, you have the authority as a police officer to shoot to kill that person.
Apparently they're what they were told is that time is the number one enemy in an active shooter response. The best hope that innocent victims have is that officers immediately move into action to isolate, distract, or neutralise the threat, even if that means one officer acting alone.
Yep.
The materials, and a first responder unwilling to place the lives of the innocent above their own safety should consider another career field.
Yeah.
So they're trained to put
themselves in
harm's way to protect the other innocent children, because they're innocent children. They're not even adults at this. These are schools and such young children at these schools. They are the priority in those moments. We've got to stop this, but they weren't doing that.
No.
So they weren't following through with their training.
No, not at all. Just you can't believe that after all of this, there's been no lessons learned. I don't know, after everything that had come before.
I think the lesson that's been learned is that active shooters are fucking scary, and not even as grown adults do we want to be around it. These poor children are having to deal with it. Change of fucking gun laws. Really, there is no other answer to this. I mean, again, this guy, was another one who was whack job, had some pretty serious mental health issues. Mm-hmm. He was known for putting up videos online of him abusing and killing animals. Mm-hmm. He would live stream them on this. I've never heard of this Yubo.
Yeah, Yubo. Yeah.
But he would live stream him doing this abuse to animals. So, I mean, people knew that. I mean, that's tick box one,
red flag. Hello.
Red flag of what's to come a little bit. So, he also was threatening to kidnap and rape girls, using the same apps and using that Yubo. So there was lots going on with that. He also at work, where he was working at Wendy's, I think it was.
Yeah.
One of his co-workers, he was incredibly rude to the female co-workers, and in particular was sending inappropriate messages to one of those co-workers. Mm-hmm. So people knew that he was not quite right. Mm-hmm. But no one was stepping in with him. Nope. But yet he could go and buy guns because he had these guns legally.
Yeah.
He waited until he was 18 and he went and bought them.
How do you at 18 get an AR-15?
This is the thing. Exactly. Like
an assault
without
weapon.
any question around your mental health, you can just go get yourself an AR-15. I mean, they're handy for daily use.
Yeah. Yeah. Totally. Like, what the hell?
What the hell?
So we're now sort of down to 12:48, 12:50 p.m. and one of the police captains who's on site, who's now he has started to take charge. His name's Joel Betancourt. He actually gives a command to wait. So the SWAT team or the people with the shields are ready to go in, and he tells them to wait. He said, the team that's going to make the breach needs to stand by. The team that's going to make the breach needs to stand by. Why the fuck are we standing by? They are armed. They have protection. As much protection as they can get. They are trained to do this. But he didn't fucking, give the command to go.
Oh.
Honestly.
It's just insane.
Anyway, the Border Patrol officers are the ones who actually ended up gaining access. They enter the classroom. They pass by the other police officers, the school district police officers. Yep. And they shot and killed Ramos in the process of that. So it did all come to an end at about 12:50 p.m.
Yeah. Way longer than it needed to.
Oh, so much longer than it needed to.
Yeah. So this one is ranked number 3 in the US, including 22 killed and 18 injured. His grandmother that he shot before he went to do the shooting at the school, she ended up surviving. She actually was shot in the face, and she made her way to her neighbours who got her help. So this is the other part of it. There was already at that point where he hadn't even made it to the school yet. There was a 911 call going through saying that her grandson had shot her. That no one was then even already alerted to hey, there is already an active shooter in terms of that he's already shot one person. He has a weapon. He's on the move. that wasn't even a trigger of like putting in place of like looking for this person immediately. So she got the help she needed and she survived. So unbelievable. Yeah.
Absolutely unbelievable.
Yeah.
All right, I'm going to read out the names of the students and teachers who were killed. We had Nevaeh Alyssa Bravo, 10. Jacqueline Jalen Cazares, 9. McKenna Lee Elrod, 10. Jose Manuel Flores Jr., 10. Eliana Amaya Garcia, 9. Uzziah Sergio Garcia, 10. Amory Joe Garza, 10. Javier James Lopez, 10. Jace Carmelo Luevanos, 10. Tess Marie Mata, 10. Miranda Gale Mathis, 11. Alethea Haven Ramirez, 10. Annabelle Guadalupe Rodriguez, 10. Maite Juliana Rodriguez, 10. Alexandria Ania Rubio, 10. Layla Marie Salazar, 11. Jayla Nicole Silguero, 10. Eliana Cruz Torres, 10. Rogelio Fernandez Torres, 10. And the teachers were Irma Linda Garcia, who was 48, and Eva Morales, who was 44. Now, just before the shooting took place, there was an assembly, and a lot of the parents of the grade 4 students had attended the assembly because a lot of their kids were getting awards for different things and for just good global citizenship. It was all these things about being a good person and things that they'd done over their years at elementary school that they could be really proud of. They were very close to the end of their elementary school life. Yep. And one of the dads whose daughter did die during this. She received an award, and he took a photo of her and her 5 friends, all of whom passed away, and it was the last known photo obviously taken of them, and it was a mere less than an hour before they died. And he said, she was so happy. They loved being together, as girls in grade 4 do.
Oh, they do.
They love their friends and they loved school. And as we've said in the last 2 episodes as well about all of this, you want your kids to go to school and feel safe and have these amazing experiences that school affords us. But that was robbed for all of the students at this school, not just those who passed away.
This is it. I mean, it's young children. There's so much potential. You don't know, who was amongst them, of what they were going to be and who they were going to grow into. And, the potential that's been lost is awful. The families would be broken. Yeah, awful. Oh, yep.
Horrible.
Absolutely. Can't even imagine.
Yeah.
Oh, thank God we live in Australia.
Yeah, sure. For sure. Oh, well, this was a heavy little series.
We've done well, I think, to knock this out. But
it's I think so.
Yeah, it's been heavy. Yeah.
It has been heavy because you can't help but put yourself in that situation. We've got kids who are these ages. To the thought of even, oh my God, I can't imagine what these parents and teachers and support staff from the school, what they would all be going through in the aftermath of this. And it would be with you forever. These things would never go away.
I mean, I have to say, where we do regular, lockdown practices and stuff in schools, and every single time we do that, because with the younger children, you get asked, why do we do that? Mm-hmm. And particularly the lockdown ones I find interesting because, the evacuation
it's not a fire
ones,
drill.
it's fire.
Yeah.
You can do and they say, well, why do we do this? And I love here in Australia that I struggle to be able to answer that question, not because I'm scared of scaring them, but literally struggle to know why would we do it. We just don't have reasons for it. And the biggest one that we as teachers always use, it's it's in case there's a dog in the playground and things that that's unsafe, so we need to keep you all in until we can
like a
remove
feral
dog.
Animal or something,
or a snake, because that can happen in Australia quite regularly. That we might bring you all in because there's a snake in the yard.
Yeah.
No, it's never entered my head that it's someone with a weapon like an AR-15 that we would need to be locking down for our kids.
So, interesting story. When Oliver was I feel like he must have been in prep, our school did go into
Yes.
lockdown.
Yeah, that was a
And
situation at another school.
At another
locally.
school, that's right.
And that's probably the closest to needing a lockdown.
But they just literally played he thought it was great.
Yeah, just play games. Yeah.
Just played games in the classroom.
Yeah.
Didn't know any different. And I asked him, so we obviously got notified that had happened as parents.
Yeah.
And I asked him that day, I'm like, oh, did anything happen at school today? And he's like, nah.
Nah. Yeah.
I'm like, okay, cool.
Yeah.
Just leave it at that then.
I know my staff are asking me like, what do we do? Like, because we've got such young kids, like, what if they need to go to the toilet? Like, and I said, well, let them go. Like, because we've got bathrooms, joining to the classrooms, and you can see them. And so I said, oh, let them go. Just don't tell them not to flush.
Yeah.
Like, whereas, because we're not talking about locking down for a gunman.
Yeah.
Like,
Yeah.
Oh, it's just heartbreaking.
It's heartbreaking. Yeah.
Yeah.
All right. Well, we're changing tact a little bit in a bit of a different way for our next episode. So for those of you who know the Teacher's Pet podcast, which was, oh my God, I was listening to that back when it was actually available. I mean, it's available again now, but I was listening to that week on week. Lucas was a baby, so I know it was in 2017 that it came out, and I was like feeding him in the middle of the night and listening to the Teacher's Pet, soothing for the middle of the night.
Toast what you need.
So we're going to be...
Having said that, the dulcet tones of Hedley Thomas will help you in that situation, I think, too.
It did. He's got quite the soothing voice. So, we're going to be talking about Lynette Sims next week and the case of the Teacher's Pet and everything that goes with it. So we're going to bring you a two-parter about that one.
Yeah.
There's so much to unpack.
And all that sort of stuff.
Yeah.
We'll go over all that.
Yeah.
Oh, there's a lot.
There's so much. I mean, have you started researching for that
I
yet?
have, and
Same.
I'm like, I've done a lot, and I'm like, I'm still not even at the trial.
close. Yeah, same. All right, we've got a lot to do in the next week.
Yeah.
All right, let's get to it. But first of all, let's go down and have a nice weekend away.
Yeah, wine.
All right.
Alrighty.
Thank you for joining us, everybody.
Stay curious, crime besties. I'm taking that back because I'm saying it said Emma like she did before. So.
Oh, yeah, fair.
Nah.
Bye, everyone.
Bye.